So we will start uh, today's this thing. We are going to talk about today stage and process of knowledge management. Okay. So see, knowledge management, we all know it is basically management of tacit and explicit knowledge within your organization. Okay. So whole knowledge management process involves, if you see, there are three important factors like people, process, and technology. It is same like our in library is trinity of books, books, staff, and users. Okay. So similarly, knowledge management is also a trinity of people, technology, and process. Okay. We do knowledge management for people, okay, who are users. And then when we talk about knowledge management, we stem both explicit and tacit knowledge. Tacit knowledge is basically the knowledge which is not in any kind of recorded form, whereas explicit knowledge is always in recorded form. The example of tacit knowledge is the knowledge which we have in our mind. Okay. When we talk about explicit knowledge, it is the knowledge which is stored in a form of book or any kind of electronic media which can be shared across. Okay. So normally when we talk about knowledge management, there are three pillars, or they say there are three nodes over which knowledge management is built. It is people, technology, and process. Technology is a kind of tool for knowledge management, and the whole process requires many kind of activities like acquisition of knowledge, processing of knowledge, and dissemination of knowledge. It is more or less kind of our library activity, but again, knowledge management is one step ahead than our library management. That is why it is different from our regular information management. So when we talk about the stages of knowledge management, there are several stages of knowledge management, and there are several models of knowledge management. The most known model is Nonaka's and Hirotaka model, which came in 1995. This model basically has different stages. Okay. So this is the model given by Nonaka. If you see, there are four quadrants in this. In the first quadrant, it is socialization. In the second quadrant, it is externalization. The third quadrant is combination. Okay. And the fourth quadrant is internalization. Okay. So when you see socialization on the both sides of this cell, you will see it is tacit knowledge which is converted into tacit knowledge. Then again you see in externalization, it is tacit knowledge which goes to explicit knowledge. Okay. So that is externalization. Then in the third quadrant, you will see in the combination, it is explicit knowledge which is converted to explicit knowledge. And then internalization is explicit knowledge to tacit knowledge. We'll go each quadrant one by one and have a look what happens in each one of the column. Okay. The first quadrant, if you see, that is socialization. Okay. Where tacit knowledge is converted to tacit knowledge. Say what happens is in knowledge management process, the information is, or the knowledge is transferred to tacit knowledge among people. Okay. Across social interaction. So what happens, like we have a class. Okay. Now I am what do you I'm delivering a lecture with to all of you, and what I am expressing to you is, what I'm sharing with you is my tacit knowledge. Okay. Among all of you. Now whatever I am sharing, it is also being ingested in your mind. You are trying to understand the concept. So what happens is, it is tacit knowledge which is again going to your head or in your mind. Whatever you are understanding, it is from tacit to tacit. Okay. So for example, when you are trying means when you are in a social group or a meeting within your family, when somebody speaks to somebody, it is the tacit knowledge with which a source speaks, okay, and with what the second the receiver, when he receives the message or she receives the message, again he perceives a tacit knowledge, okay. So it is basically, it is a transfer of tacit knowledge to tacit knowledge, okay. So normally what happens when you have talks or brainstorming, a kind of session or the lecture, such kind of transformation of knowledge is there. We call it as socialization, okay. And it is basically transfer of tacit knowledge to tacit knowledge, okay. So in fact, if you see, the formalization of tacit knowledge is very difficult, okay. So when I am speaking with you, I am speaking with you with a certain language, with certain mindset, and then I have a lot of body gesture and face gesture which you are having a look to, okay. So all this can be very difficult to record and formalize in general, okay. So that is why the formalization of tacit knowledge is which is shared, it is very difficult, okay. uh, Socialization also takes place when someone learns through practical experience. When you are learning through practical experience also, it is a transfer of tacit knowledge. uh, Say for example, in a lab classroom, okay, if your teacher is teaching you library automation, so what happens is he is giving you instruction and you are following the instruction. So the instruction he is giving you, it is all tacit knowledge, okay, he is transferring to you, and you are trying to understand those instructions, okay, and then you are using that those instruction in your experiment. And from your experiment, say if you are giving a certain command, the reply of that command or the execution of that command gives you result. So what happens is, you are trying.
सर
हाँ,
सर एक्सक्यूज मी सर, प्रवीण वो इन करना चाह रहा है लेकिन उसका हो नहीं रहा है.
ओके, मेरे उसमें आया, वन सेकंड. So socialization is a kind of tacit to tacit transfer of knowledge. Then second stage is externalization. That means your tacit knowledge is being externalized in some kind of a formal output, okay, in some kind of tangible format which you can see, feel and understand, okay. So that is known as externalization. So externalization is the process in which tacit knowledge is captured and converted into explicit form, okay. When I say explicit form, it is normally a kind of published article or some kind of images, some kind of document, your webinars, your movies, your audio clips. These all come under some kind of explicit format, okay. So individuals tacit knowledge is transformed into a kind of codified form at the end. So what happens is, whatever I am speaking or whatever we are trying to transfer, or impart to the destination, or to the uh, from source to destination, your knowledge, your information is being codified in some form, okay. Like when I am speaking, I am codifying my thoughts in a kind of a language, okay, English or Hindi, whatever it is, and then my knowledge is transformed, okay, it is transferred from me to you, okay. So always when we say knowledge has to be externalized from tacit to explicit, it has to be codified in some form. It could be an article, it could be an image, okay, it could be a web document, it could be a webinar, it could be in a speech, or it could be a movie, okay. So you need to always codify the tacit knowledge in order to make it explicit knowledge. Now the third stage is combination, okay, from explicit to explicit. Now you are converting your whatever you have converted into from tacit to explicit. Now you are changing it from one format to other format. Okay, so normally in the combination process, we convert discrete piece of explicit knowledge into another form of explicit knowledge. Okay, say for example, you have read an article. Okay, probably you have read some 10 articles on knowledge management. Now I ask you, okay, prepare the abstracts of all the articles you have read. Okay, so when you read the article, those articles were pieces of explicit knowledge. Now when you are rewriting an abstract, okay, or you are preparing an abstract, okay, it is a kind of explicit knowledge but away from the previous exposition of knowledge. Okay, so it is explicit to explicit transformation. So your information consolidation packages, whatever you make in your library, is a kind of combination. It is explicit to explicit transformation. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to integrate the whatever you have prepared, okay, uh, from explicit to explicit with some kind of technology, some kind of you use some techniques in order to prepare a kind of derivative of explicit knowledge. So finally what you prepare as information consolidation package is a kind of derivative of previously prepared explicit knowledge. Okay, then the fourth stage is internalization. Okay, now what happens, we learned that there would be tacit to tacit. That means I am speaking, you are listening, so it is tacit to tacit transfer. Then the second stage is tacit to explicit. So that means you have after hearing me, what you have done is from your tacit knowledge you are writing a report on this class. Okay, so it is tacit to explicit. Now explicit to explicit, the third stage is explicit to explicit, that was combination. Okay, that means when you prepared a report, I read the report and I wrote a final report. Okay, so or I consolidated all the reports from all the students of the class. Okay, so that was explicit to explicit. Now the fourth stage is explicit to tacit. Okay, that is again internalization. That means whatever final report is there or whatever outcome of explicit knowledge is there, I read and I relearn everything, or I learn again. Okay, or I understand the topic. When I understand the topic, again it is change of explicit to tacit knowledge, because when I understand in my mind. Okay, it is change of the cognitive state of my mind. Okay, so that is why it is again from explicit to tacit conversion is there. That is why we say it is internalization, from external to your knowledge is converted into internal form. Okay, again it goes from you, now you have tacit knowledge, again it goes tacit to tacit. Again you will deliver lecture to some other people, so they will be improving their cognitive state, then they will be converting from tacit to explicit. So this whole cycle, if you see, okay, it goes on and on and on. Okay, so these are four stages of knowledge management according to Nonaka. Then in knowledge management, that means there are sequence of activities we do. Now when we talk about sequence of activities, there are different layers which are identified. Okay, so the in the center of this structure, you will find it is whole knowledge organization, or you can say your knowledge base. Okay, your knowledge base is at center. Okay, there is a middle layer and then there is an outer layer. So there are three layers of knowledge management. If you see in the internal our innermost part, it is all knowledge or knowledge organization or the core of knowledge, or you can say knowledge map, whatever you try to say. You ultimately it is the knowledge which is at the core. Okay. Over this, the second stage is your knowledge management process. Based on your existing knowledge, what we do is we try to do different activities related to knowledge. Okay. So we acquire knowledge. Okay. In fact, we create knowledge first, we acquire knowledge or collect knowledge, we organize knowledge, we refine, we disseminate, we maintain. Okay. So this is the middle level you normally see, except creation, other part we are involved. Okay. Creation is normally done by authors or by creators. Okay. So once they create the knowledge in explicit format, we collect them, we organize them, we refine them, we disseminate them, we maintain them. Okay. So the middle level, which where we normally work in. Okay. Now the topmost level is knowledge management drivers. Okay. Drivers means, which are tool or which are, environment which facilitates the knowledge dissemination process or creation of knowledge. Yeah, okay. So when we talk about knowledge drivers, it is technology which plays major part, it is culture. Okay. Which takes major part, because sharing is, basic idea of sharing is in your culture. Okay. It is competition. If you compete with people, normally we don't share, we try to avoid sharing. Okay. So competition is also a knowledge management driver. Then intelligence. Okay. Intelligence of a person. Then at the end it is leadership. Okay. The one who leads in the field. Okay. So they also become a kind of, major driver for knowledge management. Now, talking about processes, as we have discussed, there are 4 stages, that is creation of knowledge and capture of knowledge. Second is organization of knowledge or codification of knowledge. Okay. Then we call as refining knowledge and dissemination of knowledge. So these are 4 stages of knowledge management which we talk about. Okay. uh, Now these these uh, are basically the tools, you can say, for your knowledge management activity. Okay. These are the stages. uh, these are the stages. Okay. And these are tools to conduct the activities. Okay. So in the blue one, you can see these are the activities we talk about. These are the tools for knowledge management. Okay. So when you talk about these tools, okay, these tools are related to performing these particular activities. Now coming to next slide, we take the first one. Let me delete this. Now, when we talk about organizing or codifying the knowledge, okay, do not do this. So when we talk about organizing and codification of knowledge, okay, normally what it involves is capturing of your tacit and explicit knowledge. When we talk about knowledge management, it is not always about explicit knowledge. In library we often say it is all explicit knowledge we deal with. Okay. But when we talk about knowledge management, it is not always with explicit knowledge we deal with. We have to deal with the tacit knowledge. When we say tacit knowledge include the people in the organization carrying the knowledge. Okay, so management of those people, okay, is also part of knowledge management. Okay, so what really you need to do in our library parlance, if you see, or with our library knowledge activity, you see what we do is we do cataloging, we do indexing, we do filtering, we do codification. Okay, these are four activities we do in order to organize the knowledge. Okay, so when I say cataloging, it also includes your classification, okay, or the clustering techniques. So like kind of entity you try to keep at one place, with the entities with different kind of characteristic, you try to keep them at different places. Okay, then you create a kind of a database, or you create a kind of a catalog for access and retrieval of different knowledge entities. Okay, you index them, you filter them, you codify them. Okay, then next stage comes the refining. Okay, I think we okay. In fact, the very first stage was creation and capture, okay, which we missed. Okay, when we say creation is not our cup of tea. Okay, we don't do creation of knowledge, but we deal with the created knowledge. Okay, so what we do is we acquire them, we capture them. In your library activity, your book acquisition policy is capturing of knowledge. So what you do is when you acquire the knowledge, you prepare a kind of a data, or you record them. Okay, when you record them, recording can be on a register, recording can be on a database, recording can be with voice, or recording can be on text. Okay, or you can capture through some interviews, some brainstorming. So these are the tools for you know capturing of knowledge. Okay, then the second one is organizing and codification of knowledge, which we dealt with, we talked about. Okay, which includes your classification or clustering, cataloging, indexing, filtering, and codification. Then the third stage is the refinement. Okay, refining your knowledge. Here what we do is we use kind of a mining techniques. uh, Normally we call it as data mining and all those techniques. Well, as a librarian, data mining is not always our cup of tea, but yes, we do contextualization. Okay, so we prepare a kind of a context, or we attach a kind of context with a piece of information, with a piece of knowledge, so that retrieval becomes easy and efficient. Okay, so or you will have more precision than recall. Okay, and not only that, you create a kind of collaboration of objects across. Okay, uh, don't use annotations. Then what you do is when you refine these knowledge domain, or the cluster of knowledge, you prepare a kind of out of these a kind of a surveys, or you prepare a kind of product, and then we do some kind of projection. When we say we prepare some kind of projection, it is a kind of a pattern, it could be a kind of tutorial, it could be a kind of insight or white paper or graphical representation, anything it could be. Okay, so these patterns, or these exposition of knowledge, or these projections are to be in a form of a explicit knowledge. Okay, Then finally comes dissemination. When we talk about dissemination, ultimately whatever you have in your knowledge base or whatever you have in your knowledge management process or procedure, you are going to share it, you are going to disseminate it. When we talk about dissemination and sharing, it is all about the productivity of your organization. So you want to improve the productivity of your organization, and that is why you do knowledge dissemination. Okay, so most important part of knowledge dissemination is, you create some kind of service. Okay, these service can be in anticipation, you can prepare a service, or on demand you can prepare a service. That means your customer or user in your organization can ask for a service or can ask for a particular product, or otherwise you can prepare a kind of service in anticipation, like readers digest or abstracting service or indexing service or something like that. Okay, or say for example your organization gets into a new kind of project, and then your team lead asks you, okay boss, I need information on this area or this project, is there any solution in your knowledge base? Okay, so as a knowledge manager, you are supposed to provide him whatever is available in your knowledge base. Okay, so what ultimately you are doing is you are sharing knowledge across the domain. Your domain could be the subject as such, or your domain could be your organization as such. This sharing could be within organization, this sharing could be across organization. Then there is another model, we call it as Schwartz AOD model, okay, where A stands for acquisition, O stands for organization, and D stands for distribution. So normally it is acquire, organize, and distribute model, and there are three important stages to this AOD model. When I say acquisition, there are different activities associated with acquisition. The first one is gather. Gather means you are collecting the knowledge. Okay, you are collecting the information. You are collecting both kind of knowledge, which is tacit as well as explicit. You are going to inquire about. You are going to inquire about it. Okay, if it is not available, you are going to try to find out that where it is available and how it can be collected and how it can be used. You are going to verify your acquired knowledge, whether it is correct, okay, whether it is authentic. Then you are going to encode your object, okay, or encode your piece of information, okay, so that it can be used by others. So overall it is called as give. Okay, uh, then second one is organize. When we talk about organize, our regular library activities do come in picture, like classification, cataloging, and all that. Okay, normally when we talk about knowledge management in any kind of business organization, okay, it is not shelf arrangement of documents. Mind it, when we talk about knowledge management in any kind of business organization, okay, or large organization, it is not always shelf arrangement of documents. Okay, it is clustering the objects such that their retrieval is easy. So the basic purpose of classification in an electronic format, it is changed to retrieval, whereas in our traditional library system it is plain shelf arrangement. When we talk about library classification, it is plain shelf arrangement, but when we talk about classification or clustering in electronic environment, it is more towards retrieval approach. Okay, when we retrieve, when we cluster these objects, we rank them, which is more authentic, which is less authentic, how one object is associated with other object, what is the relation of objects. Like you would have heard about BT, NT, and RT, broader term, narrower term, okay, and related term in your thesaurus, okay, thesaurus class. So what happens is, with your basic piece of information, you are going to create different kind of relations with other existing pieces of knowledge. Okay, and you create a kind of a profile of a particular object, knowledge object. Okay, when I say knowledge object, it means your object which may be tacit, which may contain tacit knowledge, which may contain explicit knowledge. Okay, then at the end of the day you are going to deliver the object, knowledge object. Okay, so when you deliver the object, first you need to create awareness about that particular object, that such and such object, knowledge object do exist in my database. Okay, this is the way this object can be identified, and this is the way this object will be delivered to the person who is going to use it. So this, is a detailed chart given by David Schwartz. uh, in this chart you would see that we have different stages of acquiring. Okay, we have different stages of organizing, we have different stages of distribution. When we talk about acquiring, there are these 5 tools we use. Okay, these are the tools we use for knowledge management. First is corporate database. That means you are creating a kind of database. So when we talk about knowledge, tools for knowledge management, again you have your hardwares, you have your softwares. Okay, so when we talk about hardware, these all machines, infrastructure do come in picture. But when we talk about software, the software, the people involved, and these all things do come in, or the services we are using as a tool, they all come in into picture as a tool of knowledge management. Okay, so when we talk about acquiring, the tools are corporate databases, your email messages, because through email also you get to know, you have policy materials. Okay, you have documents which contains policy document, or physical documents as such. You can have interviews, you can have brainstorming, you can have information retrieval system for acquiring the knowledge. Okay, for your organization. Then second stage is organizing whatever you have already collected under first stage. Okay, so what you do is you cluster them, classify them or index them, you catalog them, you put keywords for effective retrieval, and then you build a efficient information retrieval system. And at the end of day, you are trying to combine different knowledge bases together for sharing of knowledge. Okay, so clustering or indexing is a tool or technique which is used for organizing. Cataloging is the tool and technique used for organizing. Keywords are uh, tools for organizing. Your information retrieval system, okay, including your digital libraries or your databases, these all are tools for organizing. Okay, and then you have all online services which you can use for combining knowledge bases. Okay, so when we say about collaboration of knowledge, or we say what do we call the this thing, we collaborate knowledge in such a way that others can also use your knowledge or your database, like using a kind of interoperable system. Okay, a kind of interoperability mechanism in your database is combination of knowledge. Then the third one comes the distribution. In distribution you have awareness, identification and delivery. But when you deliver also, it is through email, it is through your website. You can have push and pull, both kind of services. Okay, in anticipation and on demand. You can generate service, you can use databases, you can use print reports, you can generate white papers, and you can generate some kind of queries for that. Okay, so we have knowledge management procedure where we have different activities involved. This is the Beckman model, when given in 1997. This is fairly simple model where he talks about identifying for acquiring the knowledge, then collect the knowledge objects, then select the knowledge objects. When we talk about selection of knowledge objects, authority of object do come in picture. You need to store them in kind of a database or in kind of Almira or wherever, electronic device, wherever you want to store them, and use them for sharing across the knowledge. Okay, and use these objects in your regular decision making. within your organization. And at the end of the day, when you use the object for decision making, you create a new kind of knowledge. Again, it goes with identification, collection, selection. So these 7 steps are in a kind of a cycle, according to Beckman. This is another model, a bit complex but very interesting model, that is Bothelier and Schirer's model in 2002. What he says is, at the first stage you have identification of knowledge, identification of uh, knowledge needs. In the second stage, then it says that discovery of existing knowledge you have to do. When you discover, you can acquire the knowledge, or you can use the discovered knowledge into creation of new knowledge. So from stage 1 or pointer 1, you can go to pointer 2 or pointer 3 both. Okay, from pointer 1 you can also come to pointer 4, that is storage and organization of knowledge. So whatever you have discovered, you can straight away store it in your database or knowledge base. Okay, or you can straight away share it. So you see, from pointer 1 you can go to pointer 2, 3, 4, 5, any of these. Okay, then it says that use an application of knowledge, that is 6th stage. So any kind of stored knowledge you can use for use in a kind of preparing a product or service, and or shared knowledge also you can use for preparing product and service. So ultimately, if you see in your whole knowledge management procedure, you have these 7 stages. That is creation of knowledge base. That means who is who and who is doing what. Okay, it's a kind of creating a database. Then second stage is active process management. Okay, which involves knowledge capture and categorization, indexing, and all that, which we talk about. Then comes the development of nodes. Now see, this is a little tricky affair. When we say we acquired knowledge and we have stored it, now how do we keep it? There are 2 modes of keeping the knowledge base. One is centralized, other one is decentralized. Both have their own beauties and uh, problems. Okay, so when we say centralized approach for a small organization, centralized approach is always good. Okay, but when the organization is it is a very large organization at different locations, then your knowledge base is distributed. So then you can have a decentralized approach. So you can have 2 kinds of approach. One is centralized approach, other one is decentralized approach. With centralized approach, another problem is that the control is at one place, and anything goes wrong with the centralized place, okay, your whole knowledge management system is going to get affected. But when we say it is decentralized, okay, in a decentralized model, when we go at one point, if there is a problem, okay, still other nodes would be functional. Okay, so both has their pros and cons. Then comes rapid change of technology. So as per the technology, you need to identify which is the most suitable technology, and the technology which is most suitable for transportation of knowledge. Okay, so like whether you are using electronic format or you are using manual method of transforming information from one place to other place, like teleconferencing and video conferencing nowadays we are using. Okay, so it is use of technology, how rapidly you go and adopt. Okay, then creation of a knowledge base. Knowledge base, when you create, it is a kind of a collaborative environment where you do the sharing. It is like your Facebook. So there are different people across and they all sit together and use the Facebook for their knowledge or information exchange. So you have different nodes and a collaborative environment is created for knowledge sharing. And the one of the last but not the least is weeding of knowledge. Whatever is redundant, that has to be weeded out. In library also, any outdated book, there is no point keeping those books in the library. Okay, so weeding of knowledge, weeding of information is also important. And finally, you create different kinds of services out of it. Okay, different kinds of utilities out of it. So these are 7 steps you can concretely say we use in our knowledge management. See, this is a standalone, knowledge management system where you have, interfaces there, organizational or external interfaces there. You have individual data entered, you have procedural data entered, you have organizational data entered in your knowledge base. So you have a knowledge base for the organization. Now there is, one can use this knowledge base for different kind of activities in your organization. Okay, with these are different kind of processes which ultimately they are used to create certain kind of product. So this knowledge base is used in different kind of products. These products also can be used in different processes. This knowledge base can directly be used in different processes. These products will be used directly by different users, different stakeholders within the organization. Okay, say for example, you have created a knowledge base in VHU. So teachers, students, they all will be using that particular knowledge base. And when they will be using the knowledge base, they will be assimilating the knowledge base. Certainly they will be giving you feedback, and that feedback will be again used for updation of your knowledge base. So you see, this is a kind of a standalone model of knowledge management system. Now this is, a distributed model where you have a central server, you have different nodes. Okay, in an organization. So you would see that you have different kinds of databases associated with one node. Okay, and here you see there are 3 nodal servers are there. One central server is there, and with these nodal servers you have different kind of, documentary researchers, project database, human resources. They all are connected. So these are different repositories, different databases which are connected with any nodal server. And at the end, these all nodal servers are connected together to give you a kind of distributed network of knowledge management. So in a large organization, in a distributed organization, which has its, offices or campuses distributed across different geographical locations, this kind of model of knowledge management is used. Now we talk about lot about knowledge management as a librarian. Okay, so as a library, what library has to do with knowledge management? See, as in general, in the beginning also in last lecture I had talked with you that it is mostly explicit knowledge which we deal with. Okay, not the tacit knowledge. So taking into account the explicit knowledge, what we deal with is knowledge, innovation and management. Okay, so whatever innovation is there, we collect that innovative knowledge and we manage them in our library. Okay, in the form of explicit knowledge. Then comes dissemination management. Whatever we have collected in our library, we need to disseminate it for the user so that others can use it. Okay, so we build different kinds of application, different kinds of products out of whatever we have collected in our library. We have processed it, we convert it into a kind of a service or in a kind of product. Now how the librarians are involved, that is very important. Okay, we are involved in, acquisition of knowledge. That means we gather, we collect knowledge, we capture knowledge. Okay, so when we gather, we collect knowledges, it could be, book purchase or something like that, journal purchase, or, a kind of acquisition from conversion of one media to other media, like recording my lecture and then placing it into library website. Okay, so these all are different forms of acquisition, different ways of acquisition. Then creation of a knowledge map, because as I told you, when I talk about a knowledge management system, it is not always shelf arrangement. Okay, it is mostly electronic. When it is electronic, we need to create a kind of a concept map or knowledge map within the organization. We need to contextualize whatever we have collected in the form of knowledge objects, those objects have to be conceptualized. Their relations with other objects have to be mapped. Okay, so at the end of the day, you will have a kind of a knowledge map within your database. Okay, then you need to means, and this concept map can be very well made through using a kind of a taxonomy, a kind of categorization technique within your, a clustering technique within your organization. Then comes the use of knowledge or narrative of knowledge, how you are going to use knowledge in, or you are going to deliver the knowledge to your patrons. Then another important aspect is capturing of tacit knowledge. Though it is very difficult, and I often say that we hardly deal with tacit knowledge, but of course we can create a database of the experts. Okay, with their specialization. If you can create a database of experts with their specialization, if tomorrow there is a demand on, say for example, programming with Perl, then you can search your database and you can say, okay, yes, Mr. X is an expert in programming in Perl. You can contact him. So you can give a kind of a referral service to your patron if he approaches to you with your existing knowledge base. Okay, so some way or other way you can capture this tacit knowledge, or you can organize a meeting on a particular topic and you can ask, or you can have a kind of webinar or seminar where different people will come together and they will talk, and then that talk you would record and keep in your knowledge base. So it is one approach of capturing tacit knowledge in your organization. And at the end of the day, you are going to manage the database. So managing databases, normally it is said that it is not librarian's cup of tea, but managing database is not a very big deal. Even any person with a basic knowledge of IT can handle the databases. So of course, librarians can also handle such kind of databases. Now, talking about the challenges of knowledge management system, yes, it is a very challenging area because you are going to deal with intellectual capital. When you are dealing with intellectual capital, normally it is, many of the things are copyrighted. Okay, so dealing with copyright, intellectual property right is an important part of knowledge management. Second thing is very culture. Okay, a very culture of sharing and non-sharing or competition. So if you have a competitive environment, people normally won't share. Of course, you may get better products now and then and all that in a competitive environment, but you will see that the attitude towards sharing the knowledge would be less. Okay, I can cite you one example with the development of open source software. So now you see the open source software, whenever a programmer writes a program or writes a software, he shares it across. When he shares it across on the web, others can also use it and they can modify, and again they can share on the web. Then the third person can modify and he can share. So in this environment, the growth of product is much faster than in a conservative closed environment. Okay, so very culture of sharing is important, or collaboration is very important to have in your organization. Another important aspect is obsolescence of information. When we say obsolescence, it is in twofold. I mean, it is normally twofold. First is technological obsolescence. Okay, so when I talk about technological obsolescence, it is like your file format, your hardware, your software, they all come in picture. Second is weeding off redundant information. Okay, so you have twofold approach. One is weeding of knowledge, second is weeding of obsolete technology. And ultimately you should avoid overloading of information, otherwise it becomes your Google kind of system. Okay, where the whole internet is there, and when you shoot a query, it brings you billions of results. Okay, uh, and you need to decide upon uh, what would be a very good structure of your knowledge management system. Okay, whether you are going for a centralized or you are going for decentralized approach. So these are some important challenges of knowledge management system. Okay, so as I told you that knowledge management system is a very important activity, though it has come as a business model or the requirement for a business organization, but librarians have readily adopting this idea and implementing knowledge management in their functioning of library. But normally as a librarian we all deal with a kind of explicit knowledge. Capturing tacit knowledge is it's very difficult and it is very challenging. Okay, so this is all about knowledge management system. These are some references we have used for your this lecture. You can, I will be sharing this PowerPoint with you. If you have any doubt you can always ask, and I am closing this session now, and the session will be open for, if you have any doubt you can ask.